She was 18, scared, crying, and walking 8 miles alone at night, because her own parents threw her out for being trans. They stole her money, her car, and her future. So I took something they couldn't replace, their business, their house, and their pride. And I didn't even raise my voice to do it. If you've ever watched someone get hurt and wished you could do more, this story is for you. Smash that like button, subscribe, and get ready for a quiet, calculated revenge that hits where it hurts most, home. If you've ever watched someone get hurt and wished you could do more, this story is for you. Smash that like button, subscribe, and get ready for a quiet, calculated revenge that hits where it hurts most. She was barely 18, still a teenager, when she finally found the courage to live her truth. My sister-in-law came out as a trans woman. She expected shock, confusion, maybe even anger. But she didn't expect to be thrown out like garbage. Her own parents, my in-laws, kicked her out the same night. No warning. No conversation. No grace. It was 8 p.m., dark and cold. They didn't let her take a single bag. No documents. No money. Her father even ripped the car keys out of her hands. She had to walk 8 miles, alone, in the dark, crying, just to reach our home. We opened our door and found her there, exhausted, heartbroken, and trembling. She collapsed into my husband's arms and sobbed. I'll never forget the look in her eyes. Like the world had ended. And in some ways, it had. You'd think that was the worst of it. But my in-laws weren't done. They refused to hand over her birth certificate, ID, or school records. My brother-in-law had to barge into their house and forcibly retrieve them. But wait, it gets worse. She had worked through high school and saved $8,000 in a joint bank account. They emptied it. Every last cent. Then they sold her car, which was legally in their name, and kept the money. They didn't just throw her out. They tried to erase her. They wanted to make sure that if she lived authentically, she'd suffer for it. They wanted her to fail. At first, my husband and I just wanted to cut them off. Ghost them. Let karma do its thing. But something kept gnawing at me. I couldn't forget her tears. Her fear. Her strength. She deserved better. And they deserved to be held accountable. And then, I realized something. My father-in-law's biggest business account? It was with my employer. A long-term contract I had helped him secure. He supplied goods to our company, and it was a very lucrative deal for him. But the contract had a loophole. There was no exclusivity. We weren't obligated to buy from him. He just assumed we would. Big mistake. A long-term contract I had helped him secure. He supplied goods to our company, and it was a very lucrative deal for him. But the contract had a loophole. There was no exclusivity. We weren't obligated to buy from him. He just assumed we would. Big mistake. I casually brought it up with my boss one day. Told him what had happened. How they'd treated her. How they'd stolen everything. My boss, bless his soul, didn't even hesitate. If you can find someone else, even close in price, we'll switch. Simple as that. The problem? My father-in-law's prices were excellent. Replacing him wouldn't be easy. But I wasn't doing this out of convenience. I was doing this out of justice. So, for 6 grueling months, I hunted. I worked late. Dug through databases. Ran price comparisons. Contacted suppliers. It wasn't even part of my actual job, but I treated it like it was my mission. And eventually, I found one. A supplier within 5% of his prices, reliable, and with the capacity to meet demand. I waited, but I didn't act right away, because I knew something they didn't. My in-laws had been planning major renovations, a total teardown and rebuild of a huge section of their house. It was expensive, messy, and they'd already started demolition. That's when I struck. I gave my boss the green light. And within weeks, we switched suppliers. Just like that, my father-in-law lost his biggest contract, the one that made up the bulk of his revenue. And it was too late to stop the house renovation. He had sunk tens of thousands into tearing it down, and now had no cash flow to finish it. He panicked. Scrambled. Begged old clients. Lowered prices. Even tried to get a loan. But it was too late. He had to sell the house, half torn down, just to stay afloat. And because it was mid-renovation? He got a terrible price. He tried calling in favors. Tried asking my husband's brother for money. But no one bit. He had burned too many bridges, and this time, there was no one left to save him. He didn't go bankrupt. He's a decent businessman, I'll give him that. He clawed his way out eventually. But to this day, 8 years later, they still haven't bought a new home. They're bitter. Angry. Confused. They tell people we turned the family against them. But we didn't. They did that. I just pulled the last thread on the sweater they unraveled themselves. Sometimes, justice isn't loud. It doesn't scream or punch or yell. Sometimes, justice is quiet. It's a conversation with your boss. A late night comparing spreadsheets. A supplier that shows up right on time. And a family that learns, too late, that cruelty comes with consequences. If they had just kicked her out, they'd still have their home. But they went further. So I did too. If this story hit you right in the heart, like it did for me, hit that like button and tell us in the comments, what's the coldest revenge you've ever witnessed? And don't forget to subscribe for more stories that prove karma is very, very real.